Flutterflow is one of the best cross-platform app builders out there. But let's be honest, if you've ever been stuck digging through 20 pages just to change one margin or a font setting, it starts to feel like torture. What if there was a tool that let you just say what you needed changed in plain English? I've built an app that lets you pop the hood on your Flutterflow project, leverages a specially trained AI to make changes, and then syncs them back instantly. Better yet, it can all happen without you even opening Flutterflow itself. Hey there, I'm Stuart. Let's build.
Let's build. Let's build. Let's build. Let's build.
This is a button. And this is a button in an app. Most people think that when you drag this button in Flutterflow, you're essentially writing code. You move the mouse and Flutterflow's little elves furiously type generic Dart code in the background. Visual Builder creates code. Done. Except that's a lie. There's a weird bureaucratic limbo happening underneath every Flutterflow project. As you're making your changes in the visual environment, the app isn't actually writing Flutter code. Not then and there, anyway. It's actually writing YAML. John Higgins, the voice of Flutterflow, touches on this in his No Code is Trash video, where he explains that Flutterflow is a low abstraction interface. Low abstraction means there are still some layers between Flutterflow and the underlying Flutter code. The primary being the project YAML files. And it's this YAML gap that we'll be talking about today. When you use Flutterflow, you're like a customer in a restaurant looking at a menu with photos. You see a picture of a red button. You point at it and say, I want that. You don't care how it's cooked. You don't know the recipe. You just know what you want it to look like. And maybe you have some dietary requirements, meaning you want to customize it in some way. This is the gap. Let's say the button is a burger. When you point at the menu, the waiter writes it down on a notepad. The waiter doesn't write heat pan to 180 degrees, chop onions, saute, blah, blah, blah. The waiter simply writes down a list. One burger, pickles, extra cheese. Table 12. This is your YAML file. It's essentially a boring list of requirements, and it quite literally says type, button, color, red, text, submit. The waiter hands that ticket to the chef. And think of the chef as the Flutterflow coding engine, meaning he or she knows how to write code. The chef reads one burger and performs 50 complex steps to make it happen. The chef reads type button and writes 20 lines of Dart code to make sure it clicks, hovers, and animates correctly. So why does this distinction matter? Well, imagine you ordered 100 burgers for a party, and suddenly you realize you don't want pickles on any of them. If you talk to the chef,
It's too late. The burgers are cooking. You'll have to unwrap the 100 burgers and take the pickles off yourself.
but if you talk to the waiter, well, you just take the notepad and scribble out pickles and write no pickles next to the 100 burgers, and it takes 2 seconds and the chef hasn't even started cooking yet. Think of YAML tools like you grabbing the waiter's notepad and changing the order before it goes to the kitchen. These YAML tools represent an experiment in integrating an LLM or AI agent directly into Flutterflow's YAML files. I created a custom web app that allows you to experiment with this powerful YAML toolkit, and you can access it via the QR code on screen or by going to yaml.connectio.com.au. Now, a word of warning before we proceed. Please ensure you commit your project first in Flutterflow. You can do some incredible things with the underlying project code, especially when AI is involved. So you want to confirm that you saved a snapshot of your project in its latest state before making any modifications. Now, using the tool is pretty straightforward. You simply input your Flutterflow API key, which is found within the Flutterflow interface on the main intro screen. Navigate to the main interface, and under the Your Account section, you'll see your API token. Click the copy button to capture it. Once that's added back into YAML Tools, you can then search for any of your existing Flutterflow projects. The results will populate along with their unique project IDs. I have a project here called New Test, and we're going to load its YAML configuration. You'll notice a familiar structure pretty much immediately, and it closely mirrors the Flutterflow architecture. Here on the left, you have any custom code or files, such as the main.dart file, which we can see remains locked. These represent all your pages, dashboard, event, tasks, along with your theming, plus all associated settings and metadata. And each of these will look different depending on the project structure. If we navigate further down into the project, we can see that it perfectly matches the widget tree. So we've got our dashboard, tasks, and event pages, and expanding these folders reveals the underlying widget tree. For example, here is the widget tree for the dashboard. Notice that the components are listed in alphabetical order. And each of these widgets contain metadata that directly corresponds to the properties panel that you're used to in Flutterflow. So back in the interface, if you look at this app bar, you'll see the properties match exactly what's defined in our YAML file for an app bar. Now we can edit them directly. For instance, let's change theme color to primary background. Simply update the YAML editor and hit save. The tool validates your changes and pushes them back to Flutterflow immediately. You don't even need to have Flutterflow open. It's pretty simple and quite similar to how the native refactoring tool within Flutterflow operates. However, the addition of the AI Assist panel is where things truly get interesting. The AI Assist panel serves as an advanced experiment to demonstrate how effectively an LLM can update the underlying YAML code of a Flutterflow project. The system is pre-prompted and trained on the standard structure of Flutterflow YAML files. This gives it the necessary context and knowledge of the environment we're working in. Let's start by entering our OpenAI API key, which you can generate at platform.openai.com. Now we can simply describe the specific changes we want to make. For example, suppose we want to change every color in the theme to a shade of pink. We can also add context files. Since we are specifically targeting theming, we can provide these 3 specific files to guide the AI toward the exact location where we want those changes to occur. This improves efficiency and prevents the AI from scanning the entire codebase and altering unrelated elements. Now let's hit generate. The tool identified one file, theme.colorscheme.yaml, and here you can view the diffs. It suggests these amendments to apply across all colors within the project. The changes look correct, so I'll select Apply Local Edits, which places them in a sort of staging area for unsaved changes. It's now up to us to verify the status, and if we agree with the modifications, we'll proceed by clicking Save. This validates that the project has correct YAML formatting and pushes the update directly to Flutterflow. Now consider a scenario where we have a page derived from Flutterflow templates, and it may not utilize the primary or secondary font families we've established, or indeed any of the theming that is included with our project. Instead, it defaults to the original theming that it was created in. Manually updating each instance of font or color would be incredibly time-consuming and tedious. And in contrast, our other pages already correctly implement the primary or secondary font families and colors from our theme. But here's where things get a little murky, and we finally understand why that fully autonomous Flutterflow AI agent we dreamt of never quite arrived. You see, the rigid structure of Flutterflow's YAML files, combined with a lack of comprehensive training data, means that AI models make increasingly profound mistakes as complexity scales. They start to hallucinate structure. Crucially, this workflow reveals the layer versus logic gap. By editing only the YAML layer, an AI is blind to the canvas. It can't fully visually manipulate the DOM, move widgets safely, or manage binary assets like importing new images. This tool acts as a powerful scalpel for data updates, sure. Batching text and colors, great. But it's not a builder. Until an AI can simultaneously see the visual layout and strictly adhere to validation logic, we remain the architects and the AI is merely our calculator. So that helps explain why Flutterflow has put so much pressure on pushing Dreamflow as the new version of Flutterflow. By having Flutter code as the single source of truth, it means that AI can simultaneously see and update logic. This tool is free and open source. I encourage you to go and have a play with it. But remember, always save a commit first before loading your project. If you found this video interesting, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more low-code content. And until next time, let's build.